Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about 5 of the best characters in online Smash Ultimate in my own personal opinion. Now these are characters that, while offline might be pretty good, especially seem to excel online, have certain things about them that just work out really well and are either very frustrating to play versus, or just kind of work with a little bit extra input lag and with the opponent not really being able to react to them quite as well as normal. Now do keep in mind this list is going to be just for fun mainly. Of course, you can't really competitively make a list about online. Yeah, that's just kind of how it be. But I wanted to empathize with you guys today about these characters, talk about them because I thought it'd be fun. And with that said, let's get going. So the first character I'm going to be talking about is Link. And I feel like it's kind of weird because when you talk about Link in the past, I heard a lot of people pretty much always complaining about this character. I mean, when you look at Smash 4, we had 4 glory Links. People that would go online, spam projectiles, and you heard a ton of people complaining about that. But in Ultimate, I feel like it's been kind of replaced a little bit with a ton of different characters. We have characters like Link, Rob, Olimar, Mega Man, Wii Fit, Duck Hunt, the Belmonts. They're all overall pretty good characters, and I feel like the hate has been kind of spread between all those characters just because there's so many now, and because they're all pretty darn good. Now, in my opinion though, I feel like Link is still the character that probably benefits the most out of being online. Now, the reason for this is that Link just has so many different options for projectile spam, and they really work well when your opponent can't really react to them way too well. Now, even when you look at Link offline, his projectile spam and just the usage of his projectiles can be very smart, very tactical, and can be very hard to deal with. He can throw these things all over the place, set up traps, allow himself to go in or to keep yourself out, and really the only way to deal with this is to either shield these projectiles with very good timing, or to try to parry them, which is really hard to do online, to jump over the projectiles with perfect timing and hit Link before he can throw out another one, or to space yourself essentially perfectly that the projectile just goes right through you and you can happen to hit him as well. The thing is, online, this is extremely hard to do against Link and against all these characters. A lot of the times you'll be trying to get just the perfect spacing, and then sometimes you'll fly a little bit too far to the right or to the left, or your move doesn't come out exactly right, and you get hit by a projectile. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, and the more lag there is, kind of the more frustrating this gets to do against Link. Now, another thing about Link that I think is specifically very good about him compared to a lot of the other projectile spammers is the fact that Link also has a really big sword. And overall, I feel like disjoints are really good online. Another thing that's good about Link is that a lot of his sword moves last forever. Down air, up air, forward air, and even neutral air and back air. When you press them, they stay out for honestly quite a bit amount of time. So it's kind of hard to miss as this character. He has a lot of projectiles, he has a lot of damage, he has a lot of range, and as guess as well, he has a lot of kill power, so he's not really going to be having a hard time trying to find that. Overall, I feel like he's a great character, offline, he's a great character online, and yeah, he's probably one of the more frustrating to play against, and while there are some things you can do against him, he definitely benefits quite a bit when it starts lagging. The next character I'm going to be talking about right here is King Dedede, and honestly, King Dedede I would have probably put far higher up the list in the past before his nerf. And I guess as well, a character like King K. Rool I probably would have possibly put in this list before his nerf as well, but for him, I think he fell just a little bit too far to even do online. With King Dedede though, the thing that was so obnoxious about him in the past is his Gordo. And the thing about the Gordo before it got its nerf is that with most characters, unless you time your attacks almost perfectly, you just couldn't hit that thing back. And of course, when you're playing online, it's quite hard to get the exact right timing with a sword, with a long-lasting move, with really close range attacks like Dr. Mario, really with whatever, it was quite a bit of a pain. In the current patch though, of course, while Dedede's Gordo isn't quite as frustrating to play against, it's still pretty darn good. He can throw this thing out to ledge guard, he can throw this thing out to apply a lot of pressure, and it's really hard to shield it while still attacking him at the same time. Overall, it's still a great tool, and while it is slightly easier to deal with, it's still very frustrating to play against, and if there's a ton of lag, it's very frustrating to try to hit it back at him. I guess another thing about Dedede that's really interesting is that he's a character that has a good combination for online. He's a good amount of range, he has a lot of active hitboxes with essentially all of his tilts and a good amount of his aerials, and a recovery that is very exploitable offline, but not too exploitable online. With a thing like his up B, yes, if you time it right, you can hit it, pretty easily. Just hit him down, kill him, hit him off stage again and again and again. But unless you have a very long-lasting, lingering move, you really can't hit that timing online. You can probably make it back, over and over and over again. And that means that he's going to be living forever. Living forever is also really good online because it's kind of hard to combo into kill moves. You just kind of have to swing for those. And while you're swinging for kill moves, Dedede will also be swinging for his kill moves. He'll be throwing that Gordo out, he'll be applying that pressure, and he'll probably get a hit on you at around 50 to 60% with a side smash or with a down smash, ending your stock. And there you go. Overall, Dedede, pretty good character online. And while it may not be the best, I feel like he just kind of fits really well, where a lot of his negatives kind of get reduced, while a lot of his positives kind of get boosted when your opponent can't play exactly perfectly against him. Ness is a character that I mention quite often when I'm talking about this game because I feel like a lot of people either don't really like the character or a lot of people do really like the character and play him a lot, and he's kind of just all over the place. He's a character that has a lot of possibilities with combos, a lot of possibilities with damage, a lot of ways to play, and I feel like Ness is a character that is actually really good offline if optimized with his combos, with his down B, with just overall everything you can do, but as well as we've seen, works really well online, even with a ton of lag. Now the thing about Ness is that I think he's a character that is very easy to start playing, but very hard to master. But being easy to start playing and being very hard to mess up I think that's just what makes him so good online. He's a lot of bread and butter combos that are just kind of almost impossible to fail at. You have stuff like forward air, forward air, forward air, really great. Side B, forward air, great. Down throw, forward air, which doesn't work all the time, but most of the time works. And overall his combos, while, are potentially optimized by playing offline, just kind of work. As well as this, I want to say that, he has a lot of good shield pressure. It's really hard to kind of play around that, and even just, trying to nair out a shield online doesn't often work against his moves because they are a little bit disjointed. And he has a lot of good kill moves like back air, like up air, and like back throw, which makes it that, you can't really play way too defensive against him, and you do have to make sure that you're spacing right so that you don't just get hit randomly or grade randomly and just thrown to your death. Now those are all great things about this character that I think work in both situations, but another thing that is specifically very good about him online is that he is a tiny character, or just a very small character. And overall I feel like small characters against the majority of the cast become a lot better online, and this is for one reason, and that is that it is very hard to hit them. Now, as well, I'm going to be talking later how certain big characters actually get a benefit online and how medium characters, I guess, are kind of screwed. But tiny characters are great because it's just so hard to try to actually land an exact hit on this character or on any small character. A lot of times if you're playing somebody like a Swordy, you'll be throwing out an attack, it'll barely miss, and especially if you're playing someone like Mario, you'll just barely miss. They're a little bit too small, you couldn't time it exactly right, and then he's going to be throwing out his forward air, which lasts forever, his neutral air, which lasts a long time, even his up air. You're going to be getting hit by that, and it's going to be super frustrating every single time you do this. Now, the final thing I have to mention is, of course, the most obvious thing, and the thing I didn't really want to talk about too much, but it's going to be, PK fire spam. PK fire, PK fire, PK fire, over and over again. It's one of those things that just doesn't really work offline because you can easily jump over it, you can easily shield it, you can easily time beating it, but oftentimes online it just feels like you really can't. And even though there are ways to get around it, it's just one of those very frustrating things. Now I guess in addition to this, we also have his up B Peaky Thunder. This thing doesn't get way too much better online, but can be a little bit more frustrating. Overall, Ness becomes a character that goes from pretty good offline, just very frustrating online, and probably one of the best in my own personal opinion. Bowser is the choice for the character that I put as the second best character online, and if I had to choose another character that fits essentially the same exact slot, it would of course be Ganondorf. These characters are very similar, they both are huge hitters, deal a ton of damage, have a lot of range, but I feel like in my opinion, Bowser works just a tiny bit better, but I would also say Ganondorf, yeah, he does fit essentially in the same exact slot. Now the thing about Ganon, and I guess especially Bowser, that I really like about playing online is that in a lot of cases he's essentially like DDD, but heavier, and as well has bigger hitboxes, can kill easier, and has fire, which is just very annoying to deal with. Now, another thing about this character is that when you're playing him offline, a really big problem about Bowser specifically is that you can really combo him quite easily. The majority of the cast can get around 30, 40, 50% on him, and it's not even like you really have to optimize those combos, you just kind of go for them. But online, those combos don't really work way too well. A lot of times you just can't get the timing right, you can't get them to mix well, and guess what? That removes one of his main weaknesses, and it becomes more of a war of attrition between hitting singular moves instead of hitting really big combos on each other, which Bowser destroys at. Bowser's singular moves do so much damage from his forward tilt to his down tilt, forward air, back air. They all have giant range, they all have giant hitboxes, and while normally, yeah, you can play around these moves, a lot of the times you really just can't get that exact timing that you need with faster characters to beat out Bowser's moves online. And I think that just makes him really, really good. In addition to this, he has his up B, which is honestly probably one of the most frustrating moves to time about in the game online. And as well, he has a side B, which destroys the safety of the shield, which a lot of people focus on online because, it's kind of hard to time your movement. And shield is a lot of times just a little bit more safe. Finally, I have to mention that he has armor on all of his smashes, and I feel like this particular point makes him a little bit better than someone like King K. Rool, and even in some cases a little bit better than someone like, Ganondorf, because you can time your smash badly, And if your opponent presses any buttons, they might hit you, but you still hit them. You know, if you're playing someone like Ganondorf, a lot of times you can be hit a little bit before you hit them, and then your smash is canceled. With Bowser, it's still coming out, it's still coming through, you'll be killing at 30 to 40%, and it's absolute insanity. Yeah, sure, King K. Rool can do something quite similar, but I feel like it's just a little bit more consistent to hit as Bowser, kills a little bit earlier, and overall I feel like Bowser compared to those other characters is just a tad bit better online, and one of the characters that I personally really like to play. The final character I'll be talking about today is going to be Zelda, and Zelda is just such a weird character because I feel like offline she is okay, as she does fine, but overall it's quite easy to punish the end lag of a lot of her moves, especially her specials. You can just kind of barely wait outside the range of those and then punish them. It's really hard for her to actually wall you out if you're playing effectively like this, and you know, she does do some stuff okay, but it really just kind of ends up making her like a mid to low tier type character. Online though, she is a completely different beast. The thing about her is that, yes, while her forward air, back air, and up air do essentially become completely useless, every other part about her becomes so freaking frustrating. She has a lot of multi-hits, she has a lot of high damaging moves, and again, talking about the specials, those things in particular are just so annoying to deal with, especially if there's like half a second of input lag. The rinse repeat of neutral B, down B, neutral B, neutral B, neutral B, with its intangibility, with its damage, is just so hard to deal with. And if you don't have moves that just last forever, or if you don't have moves that just plain out beat the strategy, I don't know why, but it just feels so frustrating to play against. And I feel like that's just the power of Zelda Online. Maybe she's not actually the best character online, maybe there are ways to play around this, but I feel like the frustration factor of her just far and beyond goes above characters like Ganon, goes above characters like Bowser, goes above characters even like Ness, even like Link, because you know your basic strategy, you know what she's going to be doing, and you know how to beat it. You go in and it just doesn't work. And of course, sometimes it does when it's not lagging too much, but a lot of times it just doesn't. She racks up damage, and then she finally finishes off this frustrating play by killing you with an up B. She thinks she's so good because she hit that, and you know, that's just kind of how it would be. Overall, I feel like she's a character that just kind of cheeses you online, of course is beatable, but I'd personally put her, you know, her online mode is really, really good, while her offline mode is not that good. A really big difference, and one of those characters that, yeah, I like to play a lot online, but probably wouldn't pull out way too much offline. But anyways, there you guys go. That's my own personal opinion on the 5 characters that I feel like are really great online. And I guess I kind of copped out a little bit and gave you, in some situations, other potential characters that are very similar, because I know a lot of you guys would be saying, hey, why'd you pick Link when the Belmonts are really similar? Yeah, I did want to mention that just so you guys could kind of know that I know that a lot of characters are similar, do similar things, and I want to put them on this list. With that in mind though, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment down below what you'd like me to talk about in the next video. And if you like another video that's kind of like this, which is just more talking about, you know, a fun topic, something that I thought was pretty interesting. You know, I guess all the top 5s are kind of that way, but this one in particular, a little bit more off the rails. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed though. As always, subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Leave a like to see them as well. Top of the screen right now is a card for plays and more Smash Ultimate videos like this. As always, guys, thank you all for watching and have a smashing day.